This week's Safety Toolbox talk is on Osha stats for the last two seasons, 2016, 2017. At the end of every fiscal year, they throw out the most cited citations from the previous year and or two. That includes fatalities, incidents, all kinds of stats, all different kinds of categories. What do you think typically leads the statistics in any given year in regard to most cited and the reason for most fatalities? What would your number one guess be? You're right if you guess falls. In regard to this document here, 384 out of 991 deaths last year were from falls. That's 39%. From falls alone, 991 deaths in the construction industry. Struck by objects, falling stuff off of buildings, striking guys, getting struck by a fork truck, getting run over by a vehicle, maybe while you're working out on the street, or getting collapsed in an excavation. The struck by an object was 93 deaths last year, or almost 10% of all the deaths. The third one, believe it or not, 82% was by electrocution. 82 men out of 980 some men, 991 men were killed by electrocution last year. Bringing up the bottom of that category, caught betweens and pinch buys, 72 men. If you look at those four entities, that's the focus four that we talk about in our OSHA 30 hour, that we cover for 7 hours out of our 30 hour. It's also last week's safety talk I sent out on the focus four. If you would have eliminated all of those, you would have saved 631 deaths out of 991. So this focus four is a huge entity. But looking at the 10 most serious citations, fall protection was highly cited as number one. Hazard communication was number two. What am I working with? How can it hurt me? How do I protect myself? And where's the label on that product so I know what I'm working with? So that was number two. Number three, scaffolding. Suspended scaffolding, supported scaffolding. Lots to be talked about in scaffolding, and as you know, every year annually, we train the City of Chicago Scaffold Ordinance for all of our tuck pointers, bricklayers, laborers, anybody that has to be on a supported and or suspended scaffold. Many hazards associated with it. Another one, control of hazardous energies. Moving parts, are they protected, or are you vulnerable to that moving part, or that airflow, a pipe bursting in your face? Hazardous energies. One of them, again, ladders. Number 6, ladders. 1 out of every 5 falls in construction is off of ladders. Very dangerous to work with. Does it have the 4-to-1 ratio of incline? Is it 3 feet above the horizontal plane? Is it secured? And keep in mind, Berglund doesn't allow aluminum ladders on their projects. Machine and machine guarding. Guarding on partner saws, guarding on skill saws, guarding on mini grinders, guarding on table saws. Do we have our guards on our equipments? Fall protection training was cited. Do we do enough fall protection training? Do you know how to calculate your fall distance using a retractable versus a shock absorbing lanyard? Do you know what a guardrail is necessary? Do you know how to engineer out a fall exposure? Lots to be talked about in fall protection training. And then electrical wiring methods brings up the rear of that. So a lot of stats that OSHA keeps track of. I typically send them out to the teams periodically. There's a lot of hazards associated with our job sites. The more training you have, the more knowledge base you have of where I'm working and what hazards might exist around me. So this week, let's talk a little bit about our OSHA stats, the focus four, and what's going around you on your job sites. Let's have a safe week. Take care.